Hey guys, so the D600 and the Canon 5D are both announced. They're both at Photokina and I've done hands-on with both of them. And both of them have gotten a lot of feedback that people are pretty underwhelmed. So let's talk about that. Okay, there's a couple of things I want to talk about today, and this is not to, justify either of their pricing or selection in terms of specs, but just to help people come to terms with what their options really are now. Because I know for some people it's just another camera, but for other people, if you were, really banking on getting one of these and had your hopes and cash saved up to get one of them, then it can be really disappointing when it doesn't live up to your expectations. So for both of these, I just want to point out that whilst I understand that I think a lot of people were hoping it was going to be a watered down D800 or 5D Mark III, basically just reducing the resolution but retaining a whole heap of those features while saving a lot of money, it's just not realistic. Of course there was going to be a pare down in features, and whilst I understand a lot of you are being quite vocal about the fact that you're not happy with the way that they've pared down the features, I think we need to distinguish between what we wish it had been and what it actually is positioned as, and then look at the feature set and think have the camera companies actually made a mistake in the way they've positioned these. I think people wanted a lower cost alternative for an upper enthusiast / professional usage, whereas these cameras are actually, in my opinion, full frame cameras but aimed at amateurs or budding enthusiasts who still want a fair amount of social media type interaction and the more program type options that you get on an actual point and shoot camera or the low level DSLRs. So Canon including Wi-Fi and GPS but excluding a second card slot and excluding the better focus system, it's not a big surprise. With a slightly lower build quality and a slightly lower megapixel count, how are they going to differentiate it from the 5D Mark III if they didn't wind out a lot of those higher class features? And likewise with the D800, people were really hoping that the D600 would retain a lot of those higher end features, but at the end of the day, they have to take some of that stuff out. The build quality, as I pointed out, is nowhere near the same as the D800, and the resolution has dropped, and there's a couple of other features that are omitted there. Potentially, there's more of it left in the D600 than there is in the 6D, because it's still got the dual cards and it's still got a fairly advanced metering and autofocus system in it. But yeah, what can I say? They're watered down beyond the resolution, and they're aimed at social media or social recorder type photographers who still want to have a lot of that, custom picture function type features rather than the more professional level stuff. Now I know that's not what people were wanting, but that's just how it is. Now in terms of pricing, in Australia, there is quite a big difference, for example, between the 600 and the 800, a good $900. And I think in reality, when it comes down to forking out the cash, that will be a bigger deterrent than people realize, that big of a difference. I know in the UK, it's a pitifully small amount, and I actually raised that, tried to raise that with the marketing guy from Europe that I'll put a link on screen now that you can go check that one out. Seems that's not a company policy, that must be a local pricing decision that's being made in each country. So the question is now, with them both having, the 5D Mark III and the D800 being true professional cameras in a pared down body, and then you've got the 6D and the D600, which are enthusiast level but lower price ones, is there a side-by-side camera that they can each bring out, like a 610 and a 6.1, that removes some of that social media-y, programmy, special function type stuff, but lifts the build quality a little bit, maybe adds a second card on the 6D, something along those lines. Obviously, it's not going to happen now, but, in a year's time, well, let's just say whatever the next generation of cameras is that's being worked on, it's been worked on for a couple of years now. Cameras are several years in development, and there'll be the 6D Mark II and the 6D, potentially Mark III, already in planning, whilst the 6D Mark II is already being developed and spec'd out at the moment. So please leave any questions, comments, leave your thoughts. Feel free to start a conversation between yourselves about what you're hoping for and what it is, and if you're actually going to get it. But what I want to encourage everyone is, if you're not happy with the specs, don't just go out and buy it anyway. There's always the weeks after things are announced, this big hullabaloo of, oh, it's crap, it's only an incremental step, the iPhone 4, the iPhone 4S, the iPhone 5, for example, there'll be a big hullabaloo about it not being a big enough change to justify the price, and it's still an absolute record-breaking sale. So if it's not what you want and it's not what you're looking for, then vote with your feet and don't buy it. Send a message to them rather than bitching and moaning and then going and buying it anyway. That's my 2 cents anyway. Hope that helps. Please leave any questions or comments. Please subscribe and sign up to the mailing list on thatnikonguy.com. You can get all of our news and reviews that way as well. See you soon. Bye.